Class registration will start, pay attention, will start December 25th. It's a Christmas present. So when you have nothing to do in the afternoon on December 25th, go to your computer, pull up naplesmug.com, and you'll see registration. It's going to look like this. All right? You'll click on the little link, and it'll say 2018 Naples Mug. It's got all this verbiage here, which is what I said at the last meeting. You know, we're going to open it up to new members. It's $15 a class, $24 for non-members. 3 weeks ahead of every class, we'll open registration for the following class. So basically, every Sunday will be a new class opening because we do them all on Sunday. Every Monday will be a new class opening for the next sessions 3 weeks later. And there'll be no cancellations, as it says here, in the last 7 days. Excuse me, there'll be no refunds for cancellations. You can refund before that if you cancel, but up to 7 days, because we're trying to manage those, you know, the room size and all that kind of stuff. All the classes are 1 to 4, as you all know, at Hodges, and there's a nice little map now on the website, so if you don't know where Hodges is, the map will take you there. Remember, after you fill in the form, you'll put in here the second person attending, which class. This is pre-arranged because that's the first class, and each one will be automatically checked, so you don't have to remember to check it. You'll put the number in here of the number of members, the number of non-members, and then the verification code is just because we get lots of spam in the website world nowadays. So you'll have to retype 84757 or whatever it says in that box. In this box, submit this, and it takes you to PayPal to pay. Okay? So that's the registration process. It's very straightforward. This year we eliminated a form, so it shouldn't be confusing. When it says submit class registration form down here in the big red box, it takes you to PayPal, and you pay. If you don't pay, you're not registered. Okay, everybody got that? If you don't pay, it's like the federal government. If you don't pay, they come after you. Well, we're not going to come after you. All right, so that's class registration stuff.
And there's no sign-in to get to this, right?
There's no sign-in. You don't have to log in, although login should work. Now, I've tested it about 1 million times, but I did have somebody over the weekend say the lost password didn't work, so I'm testing that again, but I don't know why it didn't work. Actually, the system is, who was it that didn't sign in over the weekend? Was he here? No. Jim. Anyway, he's not here.
Can you go over what is the login name?
The login name is the name you've always used, Don. In your case, Don-Peacock. Okay. In my case, Marty-Dorio.
But there's no need to sign in.
But you don't have to sign in, but if you want to sign in, you can sign in. Right?
It's all lowercase, isn't it, Marty?
Yes, all lowercase for your name. And if you have trouble, email me and I'll help. Just by way of sort of summary, I assume everybody can read that? Okay, I made the font big. We started developing key projects. What we're going to try and do in these meetings is sort of cover a project or an idea in addition to the Q&As, so that we have sort of a tutorial kind of thing that we'll try and do up front. Sometimes, like 2 weeks ago, we didn't get to the tutorial because everybody was asking questions. We went through the whole hour and, you know, we were done. And then I'll post all these on the discussion group. I've been doing that now 2 weeks in a row. You'll be able to go, if you miss a meeting, you'll be able to go see the content, or at least, you know, what the links were. And if that's not helpful, please tell me and we won't waste the energy on it. We're just trying to be responsive to what you all need and the kind of help you need. Before we do it though, I'd like to just, can I get some help? How about, what's her name here, or Jim? Can I get a counter? Would you mind counting? I'm going to just take a survey.
Okay.
How many people in the room have Mac computers at home? Just, all right. A lot. All right. Almost everybody. Let's do it the other way. How many people don't have a Mac at home? 1, 2. Okay, 2 no Macs. So I just do this. I'm just gonna do this. How many people still have PCs at home?
What?
How many have PCs at home? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many have iPads at home? Oh, almost everybody. Okay, how many don't have an iPad? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no iPad. We'll do this by exception because Don always counts the number of people in the room that I'm nominating here. How many people don't have an iPhone?
No.
Everybody do not have an iPhone. Everybody has an iPhone, except the lady in the back. You have to raise your hand. Don't be shy in this group.
I'm economically challenged, so I can't have all these people.
Well, it's just what I'm just trying to do is get a sense of, would there be value to do a PC, kind of thing. Are there other people who use other kinds of phones besides an iPhone? Anybody have a Samsung or a Motorola or any of that? No, a wall phone. No, yeah, okay. No, I don't need a wall phone. I mean, how many people have upgraded to High Sierra? How many people have not upgraded to High Sierra? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And how many people are still on Sierra? Does that mean you're all on Sierra, the 15? Any of the people who put up their hands, these 15 who have not done, are you on Sierra or something older?
Older.
Older, how many people are older than Sierra? 1, 2 older than Sierra, wow. All right, I have to talk to all of you. And other operating systems don't apply, and we'll get the number from Don. If you could make sure you give me that number so I know that you
Okay.
All right, so I didn't get any questions over the weekend. Are there any pressing questions we want to cover?
I just need to clarify something. Missy Ryan.
Missy, thank you.
When you say how many people have Macs and then PCs, is a MacBook Pro considered a Mac, or do you can think?
Yeah. I mean, sure. I'm just trying to differentiate like a Windows computer from a Mac operating system. Don?
Question about messaging. On the iPhone, you can hit return and create another paragraph in your message. Is there a way to do that on your Mac?
Yes. I don't even understand the question. It happens. In messaging?
In messaging on your iPhone, if you hit return,
You get a paragraph.
you can create it, it does a return, it doesn't send the message.
No.
Is there a way to do it on the Mac without sending the message?
Sure.
Return does not work, at least on my keyboard,
The answer is yes.
Okay, so you'll have to answer. Jim?
I use the Comcast website as my home page, or the Comcast page as my home page.
I'm sorry.
It plays well with Google Chrome, but not with Safari. And by that I mean videos will frequently load easily on Chrome, but not load at all on Safari. So, does anybody else have that problem?
Yeah.
Did anybody have a solution to? I prefer to use Safari over Chrome just because I think Chrome is more penetrable.
Why is that word?
It seems like every time I get one of those, your computer is about to be taken over by aliens messages, it's when I'm on Chrome.
I would have said the opposite.
taken over by Google.
I don't know.
Well, it's the one that causes you to shut down the browser and restart.
Other questions?
Apple TV, is there any way, for example, to get the Super Bowl on Apple TV without having to join and pay for some fancy network?
If anybody knows the answer to that, we're gonna, keep it to ourselves. I think the short answer is no, but we'll come back to it.
Really?
Really.
Another Apple TV
My
question.
son goes through Ireland or something.
Go ahead, sorry.
There's that new app that allows us to get Amazon Prime stuff, and I click on movies, and I've got automatic captioning, and some of the movies are so, what's the word, granular. There's so many, it's really hard to watch it. Is anyone else having that trouble on Apple TV with the new Amazon app?
The point is you
I
can't
don't
get
know
rid of
why.
captioning.
Is when you have captioning on, is that one of the problems?
No, I haven't got captioning on. It's just that some of these movies are coming up with closed captioning.
I watched one and it was okay. You're talking about Amazon Prime?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I did not have a problem.
I have had, I think what you're saying is basically you lose the high definition and your image is more of a standard definition.
It's even below standard.
Yeah, I would say that if I've had that problem anywhere, it's been on Amazon. And to me, if you're getting a pristine picture on, say, Netflix,
I am.
and you're getting a periodically junky picture on Amazon, the problem is not you.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Because you obviously have a good delivery system.
Yes, thanks.
But I have had that problem periodically with Amazon.
Okay.
And you know, they're
Yeah, it is
new to
inconvenient.
Apple TV, so we got to trust that it'll get better.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions?
My name's Glenn. I have Gmail on my iPhone. I cannot get email on my Mac Pro.
You cannot get Gmail on your Mac Pro?
No, I get an email, but not Gmail.
We're going to cover that a little bit later. If I don't answer it, you can come back. In principle, there's no reason why it should be an email.
Hi, Nancy Gallo. I've been told I have to clear my hard drive and put in a new operating system, and so I'm interested in Time Machine. Is that something you'll be talking about today?
Yep.
Good.
Who told you you have to clear your hard drive to put in?
Apple.
Apple told you that? I hate it. It's really hard to contradict.
I mean, he spent an hour, for some reason, preview is corrupted. And he just couldn't get it, so he said, just take it home, pack it up, and put in,
Was this
a
something in
clean
the Apple
install.
Store? Apple Store? Or
it was in
online?
Milwaukee, Apple Store.
Hmm.
It was-
Other questions? Okay, let's cover a couple of these, and then we'll get into the Time Machine and some other things. iPhone messaging, Jerry, do you know the answer?
Yeah, hold the option key down before you hit the return.
I thought I tried that, but I'll try it again.
The far left one, whatever's the far left to the.
All right, well, I'm mostly using my external keyboard,
Oh,
plug-in
okay.
keyboard with a,
I'm using a tethered extended keyboard, but the option key, when you hit the return, gives you a line feed and not, doesn't send it.
thank you.
Usually the option key or control will work. Like if you're in Excel and you want to make a paragraph, you do that. If you're in a cell.
It's a far left one, whichever it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Comcast homepage, does anybody else have trouble with videos on Safari? Besides Jim? Well, Jim, you and I are the only ones who have trouble with video. I find that happens often with Safari.
I would say probably 50% of the time at least on Safari.
I don't know.
But only
It's
with
50, that's a lot.
Comcast.
Well, I use Comcast as my home page.
I find that often, and what I do is I just have the other browser and I use the other browser.
I never had that problem.
You never have
On
that?
Safari? Well, it's a 2011 laptop.
Yeah, thank you, whoever said that, that's the problem.
Are my feelings about Chrome not justified, Marty?
Well, personally, I think Chrome, if you look at the security that you get with Chrome, and with the Google systems, that's why a lot of us are having trouble with Apple Mail. Because Chrome and Gmail will say Apple Mail is not secure enough. So they're rejecting it as a client.
Whoa.
And when that happens, then you have to go somewhere else for
And that's not just hissy fits between large corporations like,
well, I think probably some of it is, but generally, they don't like the weaker systems. Like we used to have trouble with AOL that way, and I think AOL now that Verizon's taken it over is fixing a lot of that. But AOL has weak security, Apple Mail has weak security, and by weak, I don't mean weak, unacceptable. I just mean it doesn't meet the highest standard that Google has put in place. So when you try and do things with Google, they say, no, you can't do that. You're using the wrong client.
You're talking about reading your email through your browser, not through Apple Mail, right?
No, I'm talking about when you set Apple Mail up to use a Gmail account, if the Gmail account has to be, if they want you to have a certain level of security, the Apple Mail client doesn't meet it. So you have to go to Gmail and tell it it's okay to use this client. Otherwise, they reject it.
Is that what you did with our NMUG accounts? Because I don't have any problem
No,
with
the
the
NMUG
pressure.
accounts I fixed on the other end.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I told them all that they should, for each of those accounts, all of the NMUG board members have NMUG accounts, but they're really are Nichols accounts for email, but they're really Gmail accounts. They're serviced by Gmail. And that was where I got into the security issue. Apple TV without, for Super Bowl, I said no. Jim, do you know anything other than that? I'm not aware that you can get Super Bowl for free.
well, theoretically, you can watch the Super Bowl for free if you have the X1 platform on Comcast, because you can watch live TV on your laptop or your iPad or your phone with the X1 platform, but you have to be in the house to do it, so why wouldn't you just watch it on your big TV, you know what I'm saying? So the Apple TV doesn't help you at all in that situation. Now, if, for example, CBS were carrying the Super Bowl this year, I don't know who's carrying it, you could pay $6 for 1 month of CBS All Access, and then I think you'd be able to watch the Super Bowl live. But if it was on CBS. I don't know if Fox has another, or Fox or NBC has a similar arrangement. They all have apps for the Apple TV, but I don't know if they're capable of doing that like CBS would.
Or you can go to a sports bar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully noisy.
if you can stand the noise.
Take your 40 guests with you. Well, then, is there a go-to place that when we have, or we specifically have questions about Apple TV, is there a good go-to app that I can go to learn more about Apple TV?
Jim?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Other than YouTube?
You know, if I wanted to know something about it, I'd go to YouTube.
Okay.
There's also a website called macrumors.com that I've mentioned before, macrumors.com, that has an Apple TV section that might have additional information. But YouTube is really great.
Thank you.
The only problem I have with YouTube is I'm not always sure that the video I'm seeing is current.
Yeah,
Well, I think there's a date on it, isn't there?
Well, there's a date that it's posted, but not necessarily a date that it was made.
Oh, right.
Okay, let's cover a couple of things before just by way of introduction. I believe, and especially for those two of you who have not gotten at least a Sierra, that it's, unless you have a really old computer, that you should update to the latest operating system. And I say that, keywords here are when it's safe to do so. I don't advocate going out there the first thing. I mean, that's what we're here for. Me and George and a couple others, and Jerry, will try these things. When they first come out, we'll find out what the bugs are. Some of us are what are called beta testers, which means Apple gives it to us before the public gets it, so we can debug it and tell them what's wrong with it, tell them what we find. But generally speaking, I would say you should always update to the latest operating system. And why do I say that? You get improved efficiency, you get new features, and it's usually optimized for the processors that they know are in all their hardware. So things like add-ons and enhancements perform better when you have the latest operating systems. What I'm finding is that support for the older operating systems is going away faster and faster, right? Because they're trying to push us to the new operating systems earlier, right? They don't want us on what was the first, the Lion and Tiger and the things that are 10 years old, because their resources are limited, and what they're trying to do is get their engineers working on the new stuff, not on the old stuff. So they don't want a bunch of people still remaining on those old ones. Upgrading to High Sierra right now, again, assuming that you don't have a 2010 computer or a 2001 computer, upgrading is pretty straightforward and pretty safe. High Sierra is not much different than Sierra. There are some enhancements, mostly to things like photos. So, but my advice would be upgrade to High Sierra as long as you have the right operating system, as long as you have the right hardware. In the App Store, it keeps your Mac apps and your Mac OS X up to date, as you all know. Here it says automatically check for updates. I recommend you always keep that turned on, because all it's going to do is tell you that there's a new update. Right? When they have a new update, it'll tell you. Like the security things we dealt with a couple weeks ago, those things were immediately posted. They immediately told us, yes, do this, and they immediately told us why. I keep install Mac OS X updates on, but I would not recommend that to you generally until somebody says, yes, they're vetted. We've been through it, we know what's going on. I think we're on 10.13.2 now. There's no problem going to 10.13.2 in my judgment, and what I've read on all the little updates. The other one that people don't often use is automatically download apps when they're purchased on other Macs. If you have more than one Mac, you might want to automatically download the apps so that they're always current. And now some people didn't like iPhoto when it changed to photos. Remember we had those big discussions a couple of years ago. I love my iPhoto, I'm not ever going to move. Well, the way you deal with that, and I think I put it down here somewhere, the way you deal with that is you copy it. I put it here somewhere. Anyway, in the notes here it says, if you have an app that you really love, take it out of the apps folder, let the new one come in, and then put the old one back in. It doesn't overwrite it. So in my case, for example, at home, I have iPhoto and I still have photos. So if I ever get in a case where I have to go back and look at iPhoto, I can do that. But just take it out. If it's going to overwrite it, then it doesn't eliminate the old one.
Well, I tried to do that once with iTunes, and it's a Mac app. It's an installed app, and it wouldn't let me modify if I'm moving it. So you were able to move?
Well, some of them you might have to rename or do something, and sometimes they don't let you do it because they're system apps. But I'm not aware that iTunes is that way. I'm not aware of that. Jeff Orr covered High Sierra Monday a couple of weeks ago, and the slides are posted. So anybody who's got questions about Sierra, High Sierra, you can find those slides online. I think they're in the discussion group. He's going to teach 2 classes in January, starting on the 22nd and the 29th. So you'll be able to get more information about high security there. If you're in doubt, just to cover this, if you're in doubt, the installer checks, but read these two articles. I posted the links here. They take you through what you have to do, what the criteria are, so that it'll tell you if you have a Mac of, vintage 2009, don't put High Sierra on it, because it's not going to be fast enough and the hardware's not going to work, right? And then there's some other data here that you can just refer to. To put new operating systems on, you have to back up regularly. How many people back up to Time Machine every night? How many people back up to Time Machine sometime? All right. I don't know why you don't do it every night or every hour. Time Machine is an automatic backup system, right?
But Marty, if
It's
it's
this.
automatic, why do we have to do it?
You don't have to do it. You just have to know that you're doing it. It's this, right? Right now it's sitting there. I'm plugged into the hard drive. That's what these hard drives are that are appearing here on the right side. You see this is the clone. Here's Time Machine 1 and here's Time Machine 2. And what it's doing is backing up, as you say here, every hour, every day, every week, every month until you run out of space. And it does it automatically. This little guy up here, see that little circle? Is that visible on the screen?
We can't see
Not
that.
visible. All right. Can I make that smaller? It's not going to let me do that. Well, there's a little clocking thing, round circle with an arrow, and it looks like a clock in the middle of it, right? That's Time Machine. When you click Time Machine, you get these options. Back up now, enter Time Machine, and open Time Machine preferences. And it's seamless. It's just what the slide here shows you. I'll open it here so you see it in real time. It's this nice little gadget. It asks me which discs do I want to use. Now, for demonstration purposes, I only have one here. At home, I have 4. Jerry uses 2. But it doesn't matter whether you have 1, 2, 4, 10. You want at least one somewhere. It's a little device like that. It's not obtrusive. You can just leave it on the back of your iMac or on the side of your MacBook Pro.
Marty?
And it runs continuously. Let me just finish the thought, please, and then I'll take your question. All right? It runs continuously. Now, because I've had it unplugged in my briefcase here, it hasn't run every day. You see here it says the only backup was November 9th and November 8th here. The last one was at 11:54. Right? So what it does is it cycles through this one, then it goes to this one, cycles through, does it back and forth. So I have an hour, then it goes to this one, does the next hour, goes to this one, does the next hour, so forth and so on. The other part of Time Machine, which is nice, is you can decide, I click the little options button down here, you can decide which things don't get backed up. So for example, on this hard drive is the clone. We all know about Super Duper making a clone. Well, this takes up some of this space. We don't need another copy of that, because that's a copy of my hard drive. So I exclude that. I don't need the cloud drive and the other shared things that are backed up somewhere else. So I don't back up my iCloud drive. On my computer at home, I don't back up my Google Drive or my Amazon Drive or my OneDrive. Those are all cloud drives. They're all being backed up to the cloud. I don't need to be backed up to my little hard drive here. Right? So you can exclude the things that you don't want to be backed up. If you had a test, if you had a different directory or whatever, some people don't back up the application folder. So if I didn't want to back up my application folder, I would just touch application folder and say exclude, and then it wouldn't back up my application folder. There's my application folder. Hardly any reason to back up your application folder, right? Because everybody knows where do you get your applications from? From the App Store. So if you lost one, you can just go get them and download them again, right? So that's Time Machine. It works really, really well. I want to get into how do you recover. There was a question here.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
John Seversky.
John.
I used to use something called Time Machine Editor because I don't like Time Machine backing up during the day. It slows up my business use on the computer. Is anyone familiar with the product that will do that now? I want it to back up at night, not during the day.
No, but I don't know why it would interfere with anything. Because Time Machine, if you're doing something that's computer intensive, Time Machine slows down. It doesn't take resources from what you're doing on your device. So I'm surprised, unless you have a really old computer maybe.
No.
I don't know why it would slow anything down. Mine never slows anything down.
If I want to recover a calendar, a month from a year and a half ago, how do I go into the Time Machine and recover that?
Calendars are hard.
I found that out.
Calendars are hard. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I know how to do that. But let me come back to that. I'm going to show you how to recover. We'll look for a calendar.
If you have external hard drive with large storage, like 2 terabyte or 3, can you partition it, make it partly backup and partly Time Machine?
Yeah, that's what we did here. Because that what we're looking at are the 3 partitions on this little hard drive. I mean, it's a terabyte. So we made 3 partitions. You use it with disk utility, and you say then you tell Time Machine I only want to go to that partition. Sure.
Mr. Chair, I recommend not doing it only because you're backing up and hard drives fail. And if all your backups are on one hard drive, you don't have multiple backups.
I really agree with you. I just bought the high storage one, and the guy wanted to sell it to me. And he told me partition it. I was reluctant and hesitant. I have the same sentiment.
Well, I think the issue is, and I misunderstood the question. If you have a big hard drive and a second one, a smaller one, and you want to use part of the hard drive for Time Machine and part of this hard drive, and then use this hard drive for the second Time Machine, you could do that. I didn't realize you meant partition it 3 times and use the 3 partitions for Time Machine. That doesn't really help you very much. Okay. Like for right now, I'm struggling. I have 2 drives, like you see on the screen there. They're separate though, and one of them keeps falling out. Well, that's telling me that's going to fail any minute. I'm going to get one of those black screens that says this is no good anymore. So I've got another hard drive sitting, waiting. When that one fails, I will then have this one that's already backed it up. So hard drives are, just as Jerry said, they will fail. It doesn't matter how many you have, they're going to fail. You just have to be prepared.
So are you
But that's the
telling
value
us
of having 2 or 3 hard drives.
Very good.
When
Thank
one
you.
fails, have another one.
Are you telling us all that we really should have, to be safe, 2 hard drives plugged in at the same time to back up on 2 different devices in the event that one fails?
It depends. My answer is not yes or no. It depends what you do. If you only do email and some photos, you can probably get away with one Western Digital or Seagate or whatever. I like the Western Digitals. They're very reliable, because as soon as I say that, I'm going to go home and it's going to fail. But generally speaking, they're very good. If you do a lot of different things like we do, I've got, huge quantities of movies, huge quantities of photos. I've scanned my entire life from day one. I have multiple copies. because my hard drives will fail. And this is Florida. We get surges every 20 seconds, you know, power outages, surges, lightning strikes, you know. It's dangerous. You just have to be careful. So, yeah, I do encourage, depending on how big your storage is, have more to it. They're cheap, they're $100 now.
With this ransomware thing, I would recommend you have two backups and one not plugged in all the time.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I think you all heard my speech about ransomware, or I hope you did. Ransomware is only a threat if you don't back up, right? And ransomware is only a threat if you pay somebody money to get it back. If you have ransomware and you've got a backup, and you know how to get your operating system reinstalled, you unplug it, you don't give them any money, you say, don't call me again, report the phone number to the feds, even though they use fake phone numbers, and then you have a backup, so you erase your hard drive, you put your stuff back on, and you're safe. And you didn't pay anybody. I've got a client, because I do a little consulting, the guy paid him over $700. And I said, you know, Joe, the next time that happens, just call me. Give me the $700. And we'll use your little hard drive, and we'll plug it all in, we'll erase your hard drive, and it'll be fine. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Is the ransomware coming in an email that you click on, and then they
Well, sometimes it comes on an email, sometimes it comes on a web page. You know, if you mistype a web, how many times have you mistyped a web page and you get something that says, you know, this is dangerous? Well, that's because they take all those web pages and they put the malware on the web page.
Because I kind of thought a Mac that wasn't going to happen.
Well, it happens. How many people have seen it in this room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. We talked about excluding, I'm sorry.
Question.
Go ahead.
On time machine. Jay.
Yep.
I get the message, time machine failed. So I reformatted the drive, checked it out. It works for me once, twice, and then again.
Yeah, that's the disk that's failing, not your time machine that's failing, right? You're getting a message that says your time machine drive has failed. Yeah, that's the drive. It's one of these guys, and it happens. You know, because all it is have you ever opened one of these up?
Yeah.
All it is a little plate with a needle that sticks in it and reads it. It's just like the old phonograph, except it's miniaturized.
But when you run the drive through programs to check it out, it checks out okay.
Yeah.
Then when you go back the next time for time machine, it fails.
I would get rid of the drive.
Jerry, go ahead.
I would get rid of the drive. It's telling you that it's dead or it's on last life.
That's what I said about the one I have at home. I mean, I know it's failing, it goes out. If I reboot the computer, it comes back on. It lasts for maybe an hour, half an hour, 2 hours, and then it goes out again. And that's my photos drive. It's just, I mean, I can see that it's failing, so I have another copy. All right, let's just talk about what Time Machine does. There's a little thing at the bottom here of this options panel, right, where it says notify after old backups are deleted. Remember, this is a limited capacity device, right? It's not going to take all your backups forever. So at some point, it's going to say, oh, I don't have enough storage for the next backup, right? And when you check this box, you say, notify me when backups are deleted, and it will then delete the old one and tell you, I just deleted an old backup. Now, I like to know it. I don't like it to tell, to just erase them without telling me. So I like to be notified. If you don't want to be notified, don't check that box. Doesn't matter. But what it does is take the old ones out and add the new ones up front. Now, how does it work, right? When you click this little guy, you can enter time machine, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we already did time machine preferences, but what I'd like to do is show you what it looks like when you open the drive. So this is my backup drive. This is this drive over here, right? You'll see this little thing that says backups.backupdb. That's the database, right? And it keeps track of all your stuff on, that's the name of this computer, NMUG 2014 MVP MacBook Pro, right? And what I like about Time Machine is these things are all in order. Now, I don't encourage you to go in and make a copy this way. I just want you to see what's here, all right? So here's December 20th, 2017 at 11:54. That's the backup that it just did, right? And here's the hard drive. And in the hard drive are going to be all my folders. And in the user folder are all our folders. And here's the Naples mug folder, which is what I'm using here. So it's got the same structure as a regular computer. It just repeats it over and over and over. Now, it doesn't make copies all these times. It just says, I already got that one, I already got that one, so I only have to put this one in, right? So it's a new database. Okay. So it's very user-friendly. Sometimes you see databases and backups that are just confusing. It's very orderly. Now, how do I restore? Your question earlier. I go up to my little guy up here and it says enter time machine. So now it's going to go space age. On this screen that I'm in, it's going to show me my current Finder where I just was, right? And it's showing me my desktop, which is what I was looking at in Finder, and here's my current Finder. Well, let's say there were a folder, and over here you see today, and a scale on the right-hand side, right? So let's say there were a folder that I was looking for that was, I think it was 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to scroll back to 2 weeks ago. And each one of these says, now it's today at 11:34, so you know it's going to keep going for a little while. I'm going to find yesterday, I'm going to find, here's December, here's November. So I'm looking for something like, today's the 20th, so a week ago would be the 13th. Let's see what my desktop looked like on the 13th. So I get to the 12th. Here's my desktop on the 12th. And here's what I was looking for. I'm looking for this, chart. Now I want to recover that chart, so I select it just by touching it. And down here you see where it says restore, right? I could restore that to my desktop now. Computer goes and gets it out of my file, puts it here. Now it says I want the password because it knows this is all password protected because I have a username and everything. So lo and behold, I just recovered that document from a week ago. Here's my screenshot. And that's the screenshot that was just in that overhead that I just showed you. But it's very straightforward how I can recover a document. So that document's now sitting on my desktop on today's desktop. If I don't want that anymore, if that's not the right one, I go back into Time Machine and I say, nope, I really don't want that one, I want the other one. So I'm going to go back to December 12th, find my screenshots again and find the right one. And it's one of these guys instead. So I'm going to recover that one instead. So it's very handy, and I can do this up to a year, depending on the size of my hard drive. How many of you have used Time Machine to do that? Go back in time. Only a few of you. Wow. It's really handy. You can recover whole folders. You can recover almost a whole drive. You know, depends on what you're looking for.
Marty?
Yes, sir.
To follow up on that, I have been able to back up email messages that I had deleted and were long gone. So because you have to be inside the application of code, things like that. So calendar is more complex. Sometimes you might say, there was an email message 3 weeks ago, and how do I recover it? And time machine can do it for you sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, just as an example, of your question about calendar, here's calendar. Let's say I want to do a week, and let's see if I can do it. If I can enter calendar. Because that's what your question was, right? You want to recover a calendar from a week ago.
Actually, from a year and a half ago.
Well, that might be tough.
Yeah.
Well, she's got the backup.
See, calendar gets backed up separately. And I don't remember where it is. It's in library. And library library's hidden now, right? I don't remember where it lies. How do you find library?
Is the calendar backed up in iCloud?
Yeah, some calendar is backed up in iCloud. Let me see if this works. Because if you go to Finder Go, you can then see the alternate. You can see the library, which is hidden. I don't know if you can do Finder calendar. Let's see. Oh, it's going to let me do that. So it let me find calendar. These are the different calendars that you have in your thing. The problem is going back a year, unless you've been doing backup for a year. You know, like I can recover one of these calendars by going to my library, but I would have had to have backed up that folder.
Manually?
No, in Time Machine, because as long as you back up the whole system, it's backing up everything.
I have it plugged in, so I just assumed it would back up itself.
It depends what you tell it to back up, right? But, well, for example, if I tell it,
not to back up.
if I tell it, sorry, I'm going to go to preferences. If I tell it to back up, if I exclude my hard drive, okay, like I can exclude all this. If I excluded all that, then all I'm backing up is my user files. Depends on what you tell it to, what you've told it to back up.
I haven't talked to it at all.
You haven't excluded anything. So you're telling it to back up the whole world. Well, it might be worth trying, March. Look in library. Jim, yes.
Marty, this is a time machine question on a different topic. I keep all of my music and movies on a separate hard drive because I was running out of space on my laptop. Okay, so say it's 100 gigabytes on a separate hard drive. That information is there alphabetized, usually in folders. I'm operating under the assumption that the iTunes brains of that are on the laptop while the raw data, that is the music and movies, are on the external hard drive. Am I correct?
I think that depends on how you've set up your iTunes. iTunes is like photos. you can, when you tell iTunes to add stuff to the library, in Photos or in iTunes, you have two choices. You can tell it to copy it into your library, or you can tell it to just leave it there and point to it, basically.
No, I have it in, I definitely have
You have it pointing.
No, I have it recorded on the external hard drive.
But in iTunes, what did you tell it to do?
I don't remember. I just know that anytime I add a song or a movie to iTunes, it's on the hard drive, the external hard drive.
Sure, sure.
Now, my question is, when Time Machine does a backup, does it keep track of the playlists?
Sure.
So I can find, in the event of a collapse of my laptop, and I still have my music on the external hard drive, will I be able to get the organized music back by going deep into Time Machine and finding the playlists?
I think so.
Okay.
This is iTunes, right? I just opened iTunes, and I went to iTunes preferences right here.
All right.
So I'm in preferences, and then I touch advanced.
Advanced.
Right. Now, when I check here, here's my folder: users, Naples Mud, music, iTunes Media. Right.
Yes.
So
On mine, that's my external hard drive up there.
Okay. That means this is where my library is for my information about my library.
Right.
Then down here, I check the box that says keep iTunes media folder organized. Place files into album and artist folders and names based on the disk number, yada, 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 right? But then it says copy files to iTunes media folder when adding. So if I have that box checked, it means no matter where my media is, on a hard drive or in the cloud or in Apple Music or whatever, if I then say keep it, copy it, it puts it back, it puts it on my hard drive, all right? Now in my case, I have it separate. I have this unchecked, and it keeps it on my external hard drive.
Right,
In
that's
your
what I
case, you're saying you have that unchecked, right?
Well, I can tell that the size of my hard drive on my laptop diminished quite a bit when I moved the files to the external, so I'm
So then
assuming
you don't have that checked.
Right.
If you have that checked, then it copies all your music, it leaves them on your hard drive, but it also puts them on it.
No, that would be pointless to me because I was running out of hard drives.
And that's what Photos does too. When you open Photos, Photos asks you that same question. People sometimes don't realize that they're copying their photos rather than leaving them on an external hard drive.
Okay.
Marty, when he made the decision to keep his backup on another external drive, would that automatically be unchecked?
It wouldn't automatically be unchecked, he has to uncheck it.
Okay.
It's automatically checked.
Even if it's on an external
Yeah. It's
drive?
automatically checked.
By the way, I have a backup hard drive for that external hard drive too.
That's right. I do too. I have two Lacy hard drives, and my music is on one, and my photos are on a separate one, and I have two backups.
Right.
You also have it in the cloud?
No.
All right, so are we clear on how you recover from Time Machine? How you store a Time Machine, how you recover a Time Machine?
I think when I'm trying to do or recover, I get the desktop, but I don't think I have that list on the left-hand side that shows the application documents and those things.
Oh, it depends on when you recover, where are you recovering from, right? So if I'm here and I open a Time Machine, well, okay, I made a liar out of it. It'll show me my desktop and what's on my desktop, right? And this is just by view. You can just tell here what you're looking for, right? If you want to see that or not.
If I wanted to recover a document, how do I do it?
If you want to recover a document from where?
From
What
the
kind of
From the
document?
document folder.
You can do it from anywhere. If I were going to recover a document, I could, you know, once you see the menu here, I go to my documents folder and I go back to 3 weeks ago or whatever, and I go find the document.
Okay, but I don't think I have that list available to me.
This list?
Yeah, I might, but I don't think so.
Does he have to be on a certain view to have that list?
Yes.
I think that just comes from here, right?
No, it would be in the views.
In Finder View,
No.
show it as columns, or one of these guys.
Yeah, one of those.
I don't know how you get rid of this. How do you get rid of that?
I think there's a way to hide it, I don't know how to do it.
Which view do you think you have? Which view does he have?
Eugene, which view do you have?
It might be in system preferences, general sidebar.
Well, here's view options, right? So, you asked me a technical question. I don't know how do you get rid of it?
Oh, Marty, go back to that view.
Go back to that? That's just my Finder, right?
Yeah. Okay, where it says favorites, right there, go just here to the right, right there. Click on that.
No, that just compresses the column.
Oh,
He wants to
okay.
get rid of the column. Right?
Doesn't have a column.
He doesn't have a column, he wants a column, right?
What about these sidebar?
Maybe it's all good.
Maybe it's up here. Icon,
Preferences.
preferences. There you go. Show the sidebar,
There, it shows that.
right? So if I don't have a sidebar, these items have sidebars. So there must be a way to turn the sidebar on or off.
Well, then how would it know what to view? I can't imagine that it would turn off. Because then how would it know what to show on the main part of the
You're
window?
seeing all the rest, you see all the rest of it without showing the sidebar. Sidebar, show these items in sidebar. I guess if you uncheck all these things, the whole sidebar goes away, right? So try Finder preferences, right? And then the sidebar thingy here.
Okay.
You must have that column. You must be.
Now, am I?
How do you use the Finder without that column?
All right,
You know, sometimes.
to get back to the Super Bowl, NBC will be broadcasting the Super Bowl.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Thank you, John. How do I get it?
You pay NBC.
It's not CBS, sadly.
Yeah.
All right, last thing I just want to cover is about apps. We talked about updating your system, right, using Time Machine. I always update my apps, and I have that little box check that I showed you earlier. You know, they update apps. Every time Apple changes the system, when they go from 12.31 to 12.32, there's an app somewhere that gets screwed up. Right? That's why you're always updating apps. So what we got to do is get the manufacturers to issue good software without all these bugs, and we can stop being their test guinea pigs, and then the apps won't get updated every 15 seconds. Until they do that, which will never happen, we have to issue, we have to get used to updating our apps, and you just do it, you know, it's automatic. I think I've got 3 apps on here now that need to be updated, and you just go to the App Store, see it right here, it says 3 apps have to be updated, and you just let it update. They update automatically, and they fix it for you. You know, here's 3 apps, here are my 3 apps that need to be updated. Actually, I have 4 now. The one password has to be updated. So then you just say update all, and happens. And if you have that little box checked, it automatically updates them all. So any more questions? There was a question that I delayed until later. So what was that question? Oh, Gmail. Why can't we get Gmail on your MacBook Pro? I'm not aware of any Gmail issue.
Okay, take care.
If you want me to look at it, I will. But normally speaking, for adding it, I mean, you know how to do this, right? You go to System Preferences, and you go to Internet Accounts, and then you just add a Gmail account. You just say plus Google, and should be able to be added.
Google won't let me sign in.
Google won't let you sign in. It won't let you sign in? Do you get this as a...
I lost the password.
Oh.
I haven't let me locate the password. I waited for 4 or 5 days for them to respond to
Can you do it on your... You said it works on your iPad or your iPhone?
I get email.
So why don't you change your password? Oh, because you don't remember your old password. I was going to say...
I'm on password, so I know what the password, the earlier password is. Try to validate my present using those.
But they don't work. I don't know what this is about. I had that with Yahoo. That's why I had this Yahoo 13, Marty Dorio 13, because I can't remember Marty Dorio on Yahoo.com. I know it's mine because I did it. And for the life of me, they keep asking me my zip code. I don't know where I lived when I had that, when I made that account.
Google has an account. What month and year did you open
Yeah, right. Crazy. It's just crazy.
Just don't forget your Bitcoin password.
And whoever, I think you had the operating system.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that afterwards. Because that's not really a good idea. All right, any other burning questions before we break up? George, what are we doing next week?
Yes, next week we have a speaker, Terry Rigo, and she's going to talk about what's the word?
How to remember.
Social media. So social media is a big topic next week. She's one of the world experts. So you might make sure you're here for the meeting. You were pointing at something?
All right, thank you all very much.
Thanks for being here.